Resnick, I'm gonna follow up with the chairman's indulgence on his line of questioning. So it seems as though what we're seeking to do is to establish or reestablish deterrence, and that should be the objective. I'm being normative here. You tell me if the Biden-Harris administration disagrees, but so we want to reestablish deterrence. We don't currently have that. We have these Iranian proxies throughout the Middle East. We have the enrichment of uranium. We have the bombing of tankers in the Gulf of Oman through functionaries that have provided weaponry to these proxies. So all manner of development of sophisticated missiles. So we need to reestablish deterrence, and foreign arms sales can be one tool that assists in that overall endeavor. We're not seeking overmatch. That could indeed be provocative and I think catalyze the Iranians to seek deterrence on their own part. So, what say you about my line of analysis?
Of course, and that is why I opened with my answer saying that security cooperation plays a critical role. It's just not. It's not the only answer to our relationships in the Middle East.
If I may, Senator, I would respond also that the U.S. military does have conventional overmatch vis-a-vis Iran, which is why you see Iran investing in other kinds of capabilities, not its conventional military capabilities. This is why we have seen, or we can why you see Iran investing in support for regional terrorism networks, one-way attack UAVs, and its ballistic missile program, because it views those as its way to threaten the United States and our partners because of that convention.
So the United States has overmatch.
Conventional
overmatch. Is it our objective for our partners in the region to have conventional overmatch vis-a-vis Iran?
Our objective for partners in the region is to ensure that they have the capabilities and resources to defend themselves while we invest in diplomacy and political processes to wind down conflicts, because there is no military solution to the conflicts of the region nor to Iranian aggression.
So that sounds like deterrence in parallel with diplomatic efforts.
When the Biden administration came into office, it inherited an aggressive Iranian strategy throughout the region in reaction to a maximum pressure campaign that did not bring Iran back to the negotiating table, nor did it tamp down or deter Iranian aggression. Our forces are experiencing that Iranian aggression every day through Iran-backed militias in Iraq. Saudis are experiencing it every day from Iran-backed Houthis, as are other partners who are concerned both about the air defense threat and the proliferation of armed UAVs, which are going to non-state actors across the Middle East. What we are seeking to do while we invest in diplomacy and political processes is respond to our partners' legitimate defense needs. Much of that derives from Iranian fingerprints of terror, training, arming, and funding of groups all over the region, as well as guidance and direction to them to attack U.S. forces and U.S. partners, to sow division and tensions between the U.S. and its partners, while we are working to reassure partners that we will have their back in confronting Iranian aggression.
Very good. Thank you. If I could, I've got one final line of inquiry, and it pertains to the expiration last October of the UN conventional arms embargo against Iran, against the strenuous objections and extensive efforts of the Trump administration. Two primary sources of arms, Russia and China, succeeded in ensuring that the regime in Tehran had access to some of the most sophisticated weapons. And I just am looking, I think, Ms. Resnick, perhaps you can speak to how Iran has capitalized on both the import and export dynamics of the embargo, which is lapsing, especially as it concerns Russia and China.
If I may, Senator, What we've seen is China sign a 20-year strategic partnership agreement with Iran. We've seen the Russians work to negotiate arms transfers agreements with Iran as well. It is yet another reason why our partners need to be reminded that the U.S. is the security partner of choice who will responsibly work with them to respond to their legitimate defensive needs, and turning toward China or Russia will not support their security or stability, especially when both of those governments are looking to embolden and enhance Tehran's conventional military capabilities.
Has the lapsing of the embargo, the winding down of the embargo, helped facilitate some of this transfer of arms from Russia and China into Iran?
We've certainly seen reinvigorated interest by Beijing and Moscow after the end of the embargo in working on deals for weapons transfers and sales to Tehran. We, of course, have other tools at our disposal in the U.S. government, whether it's sanctions, our alliances and partnerships, our transatlantic partnerships, and our security partnerships in the Middle East, which can reinforce our security and attempt to push back on those weapon sales. But certainly it puts us in a position we're going to have to double down on both our diplomacy, our security partnerships, and explore other tools to make sure that Tehran does not gain conventional military capabilities, especially when it is outside of the JCPOA, making advances on its nuclear program and ramping up its regional aggression.
So it sounds like it's really aggravated, the situation. And would I be right to infer that it's also this receipt of conventional arms from Russia and China in Iran has aggravated the situation with respect to the vast network of Iranian proxies as they continue to provide conventional arms to these Iranian proxies?
Let me respond by saying I certainly don't see any actions, whether diplomacy or otherwise, from Moscow or Beijing to impress upon Iran that continuing to support militias and terrorist organizations across the region is not in their interest, that it somehow undermines Russian or Chinese security. These are not governments that are pushing Iran to take steps that would restore regional security and stability, wind down conflicts, or move towards political processes.
There's no doubt in my mind that there are Houthis or members of Hezbollah carrying around Russian and Chinese conventional armaments that they've received from the Iranians as that embargo has been wound down. So thank you.
Yeah. It's another reason why we need to remind our partners that these are not governments in Beijing or Moscow that are actually working to do things that are in their security interests.
Thank you. One final question that occurs to me just to